I got to get the guns in here. It's just not worth my time.
Yeah, solid.
Wanna make that paper, wanna make that now. This is the affiliate marketing show. Wanna make that paper, wanna make that now. This is
What's up, everybody? This is Josh with the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. I'm Josh from OfferVault.com, the industry's largest aggregator of affiliate networks, direct advertisers, affiliate offers, affiliate programs. If it's related to affiliate marketing, we got you covered. As usual, we have Mr. Pay-Per-Call himself, Adam Young, as well as the industry legend, Harrison Gevirtz, plus our buddy Jay Weintraub, the CEO and founder of Connectiv Holdings, an event studio behind LeadsCon, ITC, and MAU that today runs Blueprint, Manifest, and Metacarians. What's up, Jay? How we doing?
Doing well. I just like that Adam is Mr. Pay-Per-Call. Harrison's the industry legend. I'm not sure who gets the better title.
Sometimes they just say like industry homeless. They mix it up for me. It really. He called me a guru once. I drew the line. I was like, never. No.
Yeah, I think my favorite for Harrison was Daddy Callbucks, a little spinoff of Annie. Jay, I know you've been in the industry performance marketing space since 2000, and I know you've seen a lot, right? So I'm curious, what's changed since you entered the space about 23-ish years ago? And
Wow.
I know it's kind of a loaded question. Hopefully we can unpack a few other questions from your answers, but overall, what do you think's been the biggest change that you've seen?
Well, no, I was just thinking about it. It didn't sound that old when it was like 2000s. And then when you did the math on me, like 23, like, I'm officially that guy where there are people working today who like were born, like after I got my first job. So like, that's kind of depressing. I realized all of a sudden, unrelated to the question you asked, but clearly on my mind. It's probably wrong, and I'm sure Adam and Harrison they're not allowed to back me up on this, but they will understand that my first reaction is, what has changed? Not enough. Not enough.
I mean, I would completely agree with you there. I entered the industry in 2004, 2005. And so, you've got me by a few years, but I'm going on 20. And there's a lot that's surprisingly the same. And it's interesting to hear you say that because, one of the big things for me has been evangelizing some of that change and trying to push people to build more highbrow, sustainable businesses that have enterprise value, that they can be proud of, that can provide more jobs to people, that, can support more families and grow the industry. And so there's a group of people who are doing that. But there's also the usual suspects who have been the same since, before I even got here. So I really love your answer. It was unexpected, but it's so true.
Yeah, I'm curious, Jay, when you say not enough, like, what do you mean by that? Where do you want to see the industry going, and how do you want to see it changing?
And I should know better, because we could pick almost any industry, and the answer would be not enough. I mean, it applies to anything. Hey, how are mortgage banking doing? How much has changed? Not enough. I mean, you could pick anything. How's the credit card space changed? Not a lot. So it's not, I mean, I think there's a very few where we can say what has changed. Well, like the mobile phone space changed a ton, and then it kind of didn't for a long time. Or, AI has changed a ton, and then we'll see if it actually continues to change. But I think, when I say a lot, it really goes back to what Adam said, which is the hardest part for anyone to realize, and I think you have to get somewhat luck, is that word enterprise value. Like, that's a word that means almost nothing to someone that is trying to like just put food on the table and is like, you know what, if I can sell one more call today or one more lead today, like, that's good. It says, I don't care what I do. And so I think, my not enough is the race to the bottom, short term, putting profits over product that, right, I'm lucky enough to be able to sit here and bitch about at the end of the day.
Well, I'll chime in. I think there's still a lot of spinning plates in this industry, as I like to call it. But, and Adam could probably attest this, I think over the past 3 to 5 years, at least in the like affiliate marketing, lead gen, or performance marketing kind of aspects of the industry that we know and love so well, I've definitely seen the focus minimize on plate spinning. People are at least trying to build things and build something that is more long term instead of the wake up one morning and your business is gone mindset. So some people definitely are still just going, turn and burn, whatever you want to call it. But I think, Adam, you could probably attest to this. We have seen over the past 5 years, I'd say, a shift in the mindset of a lot of performance marketers, like single people, like affiliate marketers, whatever you want to call it, that went from just being the guy that chills in their boxers, just buying media and generating leads, to building real businesses and teams that have enterprise value and focus on a more quality offering, let's say, in all aspects of their business.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I don't mean to sound arrogant or to take credit for that, but I think it's important that people have, all right, fine, I'll do it a little bit. So I think it's important that people have been in the industry a long time take a real leadership approach into evangelizing this type of thing. So as the younger people in the industry get into it, they realize that if they think differently and they try and build, they can create a real future for themselves. And I'm actually talking about this tomorrow. I'm giving the keynote at contact.io. And just a little sneak peek here is I'm starting with where I was in life before I got into performance marketing. And it was, I'm not going to spoil it because I've never publicly told the story, but I was in a really terrible place. And it's going to be really painful to talk about. But performance marketing saved my life. And I got into it and I thought it was amazing. And I've ran every campaign that affiliate networks offer. And I've been in the industry a long time. But once I realized I could create something sustainable and build a real business that positively impacts others, I got a level of fulfillment that I didn't realize was possible. And I think talking about that is how leaders like us, and I know, Jay, you take this super seriously. You run a really tight ship. You really care about your people. Like, we love working with you because you're just fucking awesome, except for this Leeds Con Medicarians overlap. But hey, you get one. And I think by just doing a damn good job and talking about these things, we can take a leadership approach that actually changes the industry and moves it forward for the better. And this is something we've done at Ringba. We hold mastermind events. We talk about this a lot. And at our mastermind events, we don't really talk about pay-per-call. We talk about mission, values, leadership, how we're going to build a business, how to run high-performance teams, how to recruit and train people and fire people and do everything that is necessary to build a real business that impacts change. And I think that if the leaders in the industry take a more focused approach to talking about these topics, to living what they're talking about and building great businesses, we'll see more young people come into the industry, see what we are doing, and then hopefully they'll follow the leader and build more sustainable businesses. And we've seen a lot of our clients do this. A lot of the people that have come to our masterminds do this. A lot of just people in pay-per-call do this because I think they see the sustainable opportunity and they realize they can actually do it. And I think that's the most important part about it. I don't think there's enough leadership in the affiliate marketing and performance marketing industry that's talking about this kind of thing and then really living it. I challenge anyone who's listening to do that, because that's how we actually change the industry. It's how we help people build a better future for themselves.
Jay, I'm going to pass it back to you here, kind of piggyback off of what you just mentioned about like short-term focused. And I think what you're hinting at is thinking bigger. I think a lot of people say that, like, you got to think bigger, you got to go bigger, stop settling. But in your opinion, like, what does thinking bigger actually look like? Like, how can someone actually apply that to, climbing that ladder within the industry? What are some actionable ways people can think bigger? Which I know is kind of an open-ended question, but I'm curious just to get your opinion on that.
I'm really good with not answering questions. So I'm going to go back to something that Adam said, which was I think it can't be overstated, the idea of like leadership, right? In the 2000s, it's still the Wild West. It was just about making money. It's like, oh my God, this thing's new. I'm glad that I'm not giving any sort of keynote on like where I was, because the stuff that I ran, I'm not proud of some of the stuff that I ran and the ideas that I had. The only way I built a sustainable business was by getting out of performance marketing, apparently. So, who am I want to really, kind of like talk at the end of the day? So I will go back to, I think the hardest part with all of the, businesses, it really is, it's about like runway, right? I think we all know that. It's how do you think longer term? How do you make a decision that if it compounds will pay off much later than just today? And like, it's really hard to give yourself the time. And look, these guys know far better than I do. I think about Harrison and Adam, where how many businesses, have you guys built? And you think about how you took, going from being marketers to a platform, right? It wasn't overnight, but you pulled it off, stellar.
So I know you've got a lot of events, some from your past, some that are currently going on, like we talked about during the intro of this show. But I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face when producing a conference or any type of, marketing event, networking event? And from those big challenges, how do you overcome them?
Well, one of the big challenges is you shouldn't put your event on the same day as one of your big sponsors has another event. So so how to overcome that, I don't know yet. I will tell you, April.
You just send a really thoughtful text, and then I bitch about it to Adam on Skype, and then pace around like a fuming steam engine for a few minutes, and then I'm like, well, fuck it, we'll figure it out. So yeah.
And then you let us keep the lanyards. I mean,
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. Size of the booth does not determine the lanyard make. That makes no sense, but you know what I mean. So I will say it is actually like really hard. It's not really hard, but the job that we do, and I think everyone knows this, like we literally can't make everyone happy. It is a recipe for the fact that we have to go into it knowing that some amount of people are going to be upset, and whether that's like deliberately upset.
Can I ask you a transparent question here?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, before I give you any shit, we have genuinely enjoyed the first two Medicarians. They're one of our best shows. We enjoy them. Our team enjoys them. We get business from them. Did you know this was going to happen, or was it like an oh fuck after you signed the contract? Like, I just got to know, like, what, or were you like, you like, stick it to the man, we're going to burn that show down to the ground, let's go? If it was like a war mentality, you know what? I'm kind of into it, even though like it fucks me. I'm kind of going to have to give you props. But like, what was it? Like, was this like Art of War, or like, oh, oops?
Yeah. It was, it was very much, oh, oops. So I was going to actually say that, I remember talking so Medicarians has been great because I've known of you guys forever. And it was really the first opportunity to get to work with you. And I thank Sean Fenlon for getting to sit down with you guys, right? Adam, and then getting to meet Harrison, whom I obviously I knew of, Guru. Oh, legend. Sorry, not Guru. And, couldn't help myself.
Guru.
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, if you guys do masterminds, one of you has to be the guru, but okay. I'll try to let that go. So in this case, I honestly was like, wait, these guys are sponsoring? This isn't a marketing show. And then you came back bigger. And I was like, wait, you actually got business at our show? I was like genuinely surprised that Ringba found it to be a productive show. So I thought
well, I have to interrupt you. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jay. Do you know what you told Josh Grossman when we wanted to sponsor ITC?
Yes, I do.
He told Josh, their salesperson, to talk us out of sponsoring. And now this year, Jay, we are in for 6 figures with the lanyards, baby.
Wow. So this, by the way,
I'm so proud of it. I just had to tell you because we like that show a lot.
I mean, I'm both like happy and sad at the same time. But it all comes back to like why. I genuinely thought when my mental construct of ITC and even Medicarians is that right? These are not marketing shows. And so given what I thought I knew of Ringba, it was like, wait, when I look at the audience and just think about who's there, I really thought that the people you wanted were not actually going to be there. And I didn't want you to be set up for failure. And because you guys don't go small, you go big, that I will talk to our sales guys all the time to try and basically not take money or take very little money because it's lifetime value. Right? The worst thing you can do, and what we've seen is if you get somebody who has a budget of say 10,000 and you get 15 out of them, it might sound like $5,000 is not that much.
375 to be exact for the first show. He made me buy the massage booth.
But that $5,000, that incremental 5,000, like people walk in as though they've spent 100, and you can never make them happy. They're going to be pissed. And best case scenario, 15 goes to 10. More often than not, 15 goes to 0. And so like we're always like super anal about wanting people to come in 1 year and not have to sell them again. Right? It's like classic churn. If Ringba comes in for like a big amount of money, but they don't come back next year, that's a huge gap to have to fill again. I'd much rather have it grow. But anyway, so
Well, to
Josh,
your point,
yeah,
I think with us, we're a little unique. First and foremost, we're willing to take the risk. We like to take bigger bets. But the thing about those bigger bets is when you're working with a trade show, we understand that one trade show is never going to get you the results you need. You have to build a presence at the trade show over the years. First year, they're like, oh, what's Ringba? Second year, they're like, oh, wow, they're still here. Third year, they're like, damn, they got a big booth. People are everywhere. I need to go talk to them. And so if the audience you're looking for is at the trade show and you go year one and you don't see an ROI, but you're confident the audience you're looking for is at that trade show, that is an operational and marketing problem. It either means you don't have the right sponsorships, you haven't gone big enough, you haven't talked to people enough, your sales team isn't trained enough, you're not doing your follow-up enough, your product market fit isn't quite right, you need to tweak it. In our case, it's software, maybe it's some features, maybe it's some marketing, maybe it's something else. And so when you look at a trade show and your investment, first year at ITC, I think, here, would you say, Harrison, 27.5?
27 or 37.5. I called. It was great. I was like, hey, man, I want to give you $100,000. And he's like, I'll sell you this. He offered me like the worst sponsorships. He's like, hey, do you want to like sponsor the basement? I'm like, no, I'm not sponsoring the fucking basement.
Jay, I didn't know you were going to be getting put on blast like this today, man. I promise.
It wasn't Jay.
Hold on. Not Jay. Hold on. We sound like we're giving Jay a hard time. I just want everyone to understand. Yeah, well, no, but Josh thinks so, and he's a little soft. So let me just clarify here. The way Jay treated us as a customer in this way is the way we also treat our customers. And so when we met Jay, we said, oh, it's one of our own. He cares more about the success of his customers than he does about taking their money. And so that's how we do it at Ringba too. Like for us, it's helping them grow their businesses. We became friends with
Jay, like outside of sponsoring.
Immediately, yeah, like we immediately became, because our value structure is aligned. And I think that just to give Jay some credit here, when you approach your customers that way, the right ones come back. You build a great show. I wish he still owned LeadsCon, honestly. And with Medicarians, first year. We sponsored it. We went pretty big. There were a few speed bumps we weren't happy about. But the thing is, we know if we call Jay and we express to him what our concerns are, that he's going to help us make it awesome because he wants to make it awesome for his clients. And then we know over time as we grow in it, we invest more money in the shows that he owns, we're going to see that ROI because not only are we going to adapt and grow and get better at what we're doing, we can go to him as an organizer and he will hear us out and help us make it amazing. And so I think Jay runs the best shows in the industries because he's willing to take some harassment from people like Adam and Harrison because he knows our value structures aligned. He's like, these guys just want to win and do a great job. And so all right, they're going to harass me a little bit, but it'll be fun.
Jay, bringing it back full circle to the biggest challenges, would you say one of them is keeping your sponsors happy? Or at this point in your journey on that side of the industry, do you kind of have that down to a science?
So, I mean, I would say we have it down to a science because it is unfailingly easy. Bring clients, make sure clients are there. I mean, that's the hardest part. I will tell our sales teams, even now we've got, right, everyone wants to hit goals, they want to make money. And I'm like, you're not going to sell anyone today. You're not going to go find a new company that has never heard of us and they're going to go spend, 50, 100 grand with us. The only thing you can do right now today is just start a relationship and start talking to them. Now, I want you to be the eyes and ears to help us as the product people, right? Our job is you're out there on the front lines, bring back information, help me and help us get smarter about who do they want to meet? What does success look like? what do they do at other shows? Like, it's like hearing Adam talk about it. Like they're a dream because almost everybody else, like they don't lean into it. What they do is they basically, I'm going to pay you like money. I expect to show up and be able to put anyone I want at my booth, and I expect just an infinite amount of traffic, and that's that. And I'm going to get X number of leads, and it's going to be amazing. They don't ever look at it as it's probably a multi-year journey. It's going to have to we're going to have to. This is how we do it better and better. And at the end of the day, like we can try to educate sponsors and say it needs to be a multi-year journey. You know what they hear? You just want more money from me. You're just not going to deliver the ROI from us. So
I just pulled up the email from June 8th, 2018 from Josh. You're CC'd on it. And
Yes.
like now that I know that you kind of were like, hey, Josh, like I don't think Ringba is going to benefit from this event, like try to steer him away. He goes, hey, you can't buy just a booth. You can buy one of these sponsorships. And these are the sponsorships we were offered. We can target a group of attendees by give them a perk like an Uber gift card. We can provide the international translation services package. They translate something at the show. We can do the retargeting at like an $8,000 CPM, the digital promotion package, or we can sponsor the pen and paper for the trade show. I'm sorry. I had to read this. And the only reason we got the massage thing is because someone bailed. But I see what you were doing. You truly were like, this might not be for them, etc. And we knew that this was going to be a winner. But I love that you would rather, it's a two kind of pronged answer here. But your strategy into really being concerned about the experience that your sponsors have makes it that, like, when I think of who you have doing your sales now, Medicarians, like when he calls his recruit, what's his name again? I'm totally blanking.
We got Dan West.
When Dan,
I gotta make sure give a shout.
Yeah, when Dan calls me, his job is pretty easy. I said, yeah, just send me the contract. He didn't have to sell me anything. I was like, yeah, we're in next year. It's cool. And then he told me about the LeadsCon thing, and I wanted to kill someone, but we still signed. We still signed the contract.
I love how it bothered you. Like it really made me happy because the number of different people that texted me that basically said Harrison's really upset about this, and they were generally worried for us. Like, did we make a mistake? Did we make a mistake? Like it was great. I actually really enjoyed that.
Well, Adam was like not very happy, and then I'm a sponge, and then I was like, I'm gonna pass on the vibe.
We like you, Jay. I didn't hit you up because we don't want to burn the bridge.
I'm friendly about it. But
I will tell you,
the way you do business allows, like for example, with the ITC, which is a show that you've sold. When Josh emails me his sponsorship prospectus and he goes, hey man, we're going to announce the sale. We're going to start doing sales in a few weeks. You have first right of refusal on your sponsorships, but like if there's something else that kind of gets your attention, let me know so I can like waitlist you. He sends me a PDF. Adam and I get all excited about tons of cool sponsorship opportunities. And then 3 weeks later, I email him some stuff and he emails me back and says, hey, none of it's available. And that's because you care. And so your sponsorships come back. Your sponsors come back and renew their sponsorships. And so you're doing something right, man.
I will say, by the way,
so let's throw hold on. I have a question for Jay, and I have a pro tip. So pro tip for trade shows, you have to think multi-year, because if you want the good shit, you have to get in line and you have to wait for years. We have the LeadsCon lanyards, took 5 years. We have the ITC lanyards, took 4 years. We have the, affiliate summit lanyards, took years of begging. So you have to really be committed. You have to do it over time because they all do first right of refusal. My question for you, Jay, and I think it's super important, is, what exactly can companies do to get more out of a trade show from your perspective? This is a selfish question because I want to learn from you. You're the master of shows. How do companies actually best leverage trade shows over time? Like, what are the best strategies? Where does your mind take you with that?
Yeah, it is pretty. I feel like I probably have the same answer now that I might have had years ago, and it'll be interesting to see if it's the same answer. But I do want to answer that question by first saying to Harrison, it was a total oops on the LeadsCon thing. Didn't have a clue until you literally told Dan, I have a 70-row sheet of events that I'm tracking and trying to navigate around. And I'll be honest, when it came to Medicarians, LeadsCon wasn't on the sheet. So I had all these other in the weeds, senior health, senior wealth, senior living, huge shows like health, and all of these other shows that it was like, oh, this other agent show, lots of stuff. And then it was like, what venue? We got to differentiate all the, and Jewish holidays, other holidays, kids' spring breaks, all the stuff we're trying to navigate. We were like, so like, oh, and then there's like when the, it's not necessarily like open enrollment, but then there's certain like, periods where like people have their heads down and you can't actually do it then. We were like, oh, I think we figured it out. And yeah, and then a couple of weeks later, well, it was really more like 2 months later, we found out that it was directly overlapping. So yeah, total oops on that one. Now, Adam, to answer your question, I think what we tend to obsess about more than a lot of others is like who's there. And we try to really understand who we think needs to be in the room. Like, when I ran LeadsCon, it was the same type of stuff. It was, all right, hey, what are the verticals that are actually out there? Like, what's happening? What's getting traction? What's not? Who are the people doing interesting things? And it wasn't so much like what someone was paying. It was, could I get the right people there in the room? And that really hasn't changed from our mindset. So when I think about from a sponsor's perspective, like most sponsors, again, like they just don't want to do the hard work. So they'll overpay in a lot of ways. But then they'll show up with high expectations. And I think the sophisticated ones say, if this show is successful, now there's a big leap of faith that has to happen. So first they say, if this show is successful, I will be successful and the industry will be successful. The real big leap of faith is saying, I feel secure enough with who I am that I don't mind bringing some of my clients and prospects and making sure that they're there. And I cannot tell you the number of times where it must have been Quinn Street. And I'd always say, Quinn Street, you should come up, you should get on stage. It reminded me of like you trying to chase the lanyards. And I'd always get back this response of like, we know everybody, we don't need to be there. And I never really understood it because it's still about meetings. It's still about getting deals done. And I always felt like the people who are so protective of, what they have, sometimes it's a signal that maybe they don't actually have, the sort of what they think. So making it very tactical, finally, I tell people, like, help me figure out, like, give us insights on the market. Like, you guys understand what's going on. Help us understand who are interesting buyers. Who do we need to have that everyone's going to thank us for? Who do we need to potentially like downplay? Like, are there companies that, like, how can you take us into the fold and say, this other company, take it with a grain of salt or not, but maybe they're not as ethical or as honest. And like, because we're, again, like, we're not in the weeds like we used to be, and it's really hard to be in the weeds. So, those kind of insights for us, so that when people look at the smiling faces on the agenda and they go, that person's there, oh, that person's there, like, that's how we will go to bat for anyone, and especially the people that help us build the value that we offer.
I like that. And at your show, I think it's funny that you mentioned that. We had a big booth right up front, and a bunch of our competitors, like gnats, just do laps around our booth and try and see who we're talking to. And I always get a kick out of it because it's like, yeah, but more so like, you know what, if you really have something to offer and you really care about the industry and you really care about your customers and you really care about what you're doing, you would stand up a giant booth in the middle of the trade show. You would invite all your customers there. You would support the industry. You would support the people who you are responsible for their businesses, right? And that never concerned me. In fact, we still do email drops before all the shows to our entire list and invite people to the shows and do it in our communities and whatever. And I think you're right. I think having confidence, supporting the industry, and doing these things really sends a clear message to your customers that you're here to stay and you really care about what's going on. And so, it's funny because and I'm not going to out the specific trade show, but, we recently got into a discussion with a trade show about a sponsorship And I firmly came back and was like, listen, we used to sponsor this show and we couldn't afford it. And, you need to give us the sponsorships we want because we support the industry whether we can or we can't. We just did whatever was necessary to do it because we believe in it. And there's something to be said for that. They did relent. They gave us the sponsorship we wanted. But that type of thing is so important. And I wish more companies in our space engaged with that type of mindset and really put some effort into what they're doing and the branding. And yeah,
like I don't understand. There are so many, you know who you are if you're listening. Many of you run successful businesses. Some of you are our customers. And I see you sharing someone's passes and like it's $600, it's $1,000. Like support the trade show. It's for our industry. Like, yes, Jay really likes it when you buy a ticket so he can continue to win Best Dad Awards by taking the kids on spring break trips, but it also benefits the industry. Like, don't fucking share passes. Just buy one.
It's usually the November trip is the big one, by the way, with the kids. If you're going to give me
yes,
time about
after
that.
your trade show season, it's true. Then you go on the big kids trip.
Harrison, you got to just look at the private jet charters that he's doing through us. It's always November. I know.
Always. But
Jay, can we pay you in private jets? Like, is that?
I'm sorry. What?
Can we pay our Medicarians bill in private jets? Is that possible?
I'll have to.
We'll
ask
give you a
CFO.
Flight in lieu of sponsorship. I like that.
Let me ask our CFO and figure out what what he thinks about that.
Good one idea. Good idea, Adam.
I'll say that. But
for our listeners, Harrison and I also own a travel agency that specializes in private jet charters. So if you need any, let us know. We give clients major discounts.
I want to say that you really. I hope you guys are talking to Ilya Bodner from Bold Penguin. I hear he's really thinking about this space.
I don't know him. I'll take the intro.
Okay, I got to do that then. You guys need to meet each other. I will say that a good test for an organizer, though, right, is this, right? Can they actually appreciate what you're doing for them? So let's say that you're inviting clients. Like if someone comes to me and they say, I would like passes for clients. I literally had a sponsor of Manifest come to me and say, it's our logistics tech show. They said, I want to bring 100 clients. Will you give me 100 passes to give out to the clients? There are people that we know that if they show up, other sponsors are going to be happy. And so for me, crazy as it sounds, even though it was a hard cost, I was like, all right, if you really think you're going to do it, I will literally give you 100 passes. And see what happens. Because I know that a good client will have 5 to 10 conversations or prospect, right? Each of those is probably worth $500 to $1,000. So yes, I may have real hard costs, but in opportunity cost of making like dollars that are now floating around the floor, right? We've just increased it by $500,000 if they fully succeed or something, maybe not that much, but $100,000. So there's $100,000 more of revenue, potential revenue. And so I really think that if you're able to do that, a show needs to be able to recognize that behavior. Like if you say, like this happens to us, I don't think you guys compete with Drips, right?
No.
So Drips is very much a vendor. They are a vendor. At the end of the day, they're there to sell something. And so when Drips is coming by and says, we want to speak at your show, there's sort of the classic response is either no, or it's here's a package that you can buy to get the stage. The other way to do it is, all right, guys, like how is this a win-win? Part of it is, do you actually have clients that others will be happy to hear from and learn from? And if the answer is yes, can you propose a topic where you're leading the conversation? It's not about you, it's about them. And can you bring really interesting people with you? And like that, is like something that we would then make a trade-off and say, all right, you can get on stage, sort of like for, that, because we're both winning. It's kind of like but just getting someone up on stage to get the account exec up there to do a pitch, that's like a waste of good space. So again, I think about like a good show will understand how to like think these things through and not necessarily say, oh, you have to pay to play. They'll understand how to like build real value for everyone.
Jay, a lot of conferences are popping up all the time, as I'm sure you're aware of. For the
Not as
ones
much
that
as you
don't,
know.
what was that?
Not as much as you are. You go to far more shows than I do.
Well, I was going to say for the shows that don't really stick around long term, why do you think, like, where do they go wrong? Where are they not putting enough focus in terms of the event itself, in your opinion?
Yeah,
So
maybe let me refine that question a little bit. Like, what are the major pitfalls that cause the show not to make it past year 1 and 2? Like, what are your biggest concerns that keep you up at night with the new show year 1 and 2?
So I will say that our model has evolved over time and is different than a lot of other shows. Our model, like in LeadsCon in year one, now Vegas inflation, there's something to account for it. But even when we were doing Grow.co, we could do a show for $400,000, $500,000 all in. We can't do a show for less than 1.6 right now. So for us, there's certainly a higher costs, sort of basis for what we do. But in general, I mean, there's the scale is the problem that, and I think COVID really accelerated this. The gap between the number one show in a space and number two has grown. And then anything beyond number two is like dead. And so people are getting, like, think pickier about their times, where they go. And if you are subscale and like the number three or worse, you're gonna have a hard time continuing to bring the right people, create enough value so that your sponsors want to keep coming back. And like, it's really hard. So I think for us, it's our shows take 3 to 4 years to become truly profitable on an EBITDA basis. And so, for us, it's not necessarily just how much revenue we make in year one. It's trajectory, and trajectory can be revenue, but it's value, right? It's did we make enough of an impact, bring enough of the right people so that enough more will come in the future, right? Did we get enough people from the right buyer so that instead of sending one person, they send 2 or 3? And that is ultimately what will keep us at night, is the audience mix, to see if it can actually grow. And, like you guys, if it weren't you, I'm still going to tell you anyway. Oftentimes internally, we say to sponsors, if there's a show like on the same day, sponsors are very good about figuring out how to be in, like 2 places at once, that they're really good at this, more than most, right? That buyer that somebody really wants to meet, they're really bad about being in 2 places at one time. So as much as I don't want to have a sponsor have to like be in 2 places, what I really want is that, like a great buyer, they're not choosing us over another show. They're choosing us over like staying in the office or in the home office working. Like, that's our competitor. Our competitor is like, more value is had elsewhere by not going to a show. That's it. That's what keeps us up, at night.
I got it, Jay. You can rent us telepresence robots, and then we'll be fine. Because our team can be at LeadsCon, but they'll be at Medicarians too.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Don't worry. We're thinking about a lot of stuff for you guys. I don't know.
I have no doubt that you're thinking about all sorts of stuff you can sell us.
Oh yeah, not even sell you. Try to figure this out. Like, we have to build you guys something. Like, do we have to like create a space that's not your booth? But then again, your booth is always special. You have all these crazy monitors that show off your technology. So then,
bro, you don't even know. You don't even know. This new shit's off the chain.
Adam, we need to like flip a coin or something.
I feel like the Ringba. Is there like a Ringba? I was thinking about like the how they have the boring company with the tunnels there. I'm like, do we have to have like a Ringba bus that goes back and forth for people, and they can sign up for Medicarians and go see Ringba over there? And I don't know, like,
not a bad idea, actually. I kind of dig it.
Actually, yeah, I kind of like that. I would totally do free transport between the shows if the bus was wrapped in Ringba. I mean, I like the way you're thinking. I could be honest with you.
I'm bullish, yeah, dude.
But Jay, if you think the old booth was lit, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let me tell you.
I'll text you about it off air, Jay, because I just want to blow your mind.
Jay, of all
hold on. We gave a mastermind event in Vegas, and we were in this giant hotel room.
We were in the big room, bro. We were in the big Vegas.
No, not in Vegas. I have not seen your Vegas palace.
Yeah, he hasn't been in the Vegas one, Harrison. He was in another one. But anyway, so I literally come running out of the shower at 1 a.m. Okay, I got like a towel on. I'm all wet. I'm like, Chad was staying in the room. He works for us. I'm like, Chad, I need you to build this thing right now. We're like, we just need to do this thing. It needs to be this way. And this is the way I want it. And he just stared at me and he was like, I don't.
You out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, I don't even know if I understand fully what you're talking. I mean, okay, I guess. All right. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like pointing and like drawing and walking around the room for scale and like trying to explain it to them. And they're just like, Adam's lost his shit. I don't know what to do with this, but sure, buddy, we'll figure it out. And now it's built. So
Do you want to elaborate on what it entails,
Nope.
or you gotta?
No.
Yeah.
no,
There will be no elaboration. I will be
None.
texting you, Jay, about it because it's fucking cool, though. You get
Yeah.
to know.
And by texting me, it's really like, see what your mistake made, see what you're missing out on.
Well, LeadsCon's getting that booth.
Right.
It is. I mean, it's the truth. And then we got to figure out what to do with you, but we love you.
Yeah.
We're
Hey,
still coming.
That sounds
Fine.
like what my parents would say, right? You figure out to do it.
Jay, I gotta ask, of all the events that you do put on now, and I guess we could include the ones from the past if you want, but which one is your favorite, and more importantly, why? Because I feel like a lot of them share a lot of similarities, but are there any that have differentiating factors that really kind of make it all worth it for you when it's said and done?
I mean, if I asked you who you like better between Harrison and Adam, could you answer?
Probably.
Oh,
Probably could, yeah.
oh, ran into that.
Adam's pretty tough, Jay.
Thought I had you. Look at me, thinking I'm so clever. Not so much. No, right? Who's going to pick between their kids? And only in private, not in public, not when being recorded. Oh, yeah.
See, I'm the tough one I pick.
They all have been like special and great. So instead of picking my favorite, I'll tell you the one that we've had the most, like the only time that we've stopped some shows, and it was because we just couldn't get them big enough. Like we used to run an e-commerce series when we were under the Grow.co name, and it was like a consistent, $700,000 in revenue, but there was no obvious way to get it bigger, because like bigger was running up against really big shows, and it just.
Well, that kind of leads me right into the next question I had for you, honestly. So I think it's good to ask it right now. But as time goes on, how do you continue to grow these events and continue to provide value to not only your sponsors, but your attendees? Because it sounds like you've ran into issues in the past where you can't figure it out. And, I'm curious, like, how do you reach that conclusion that you can no longer grow it? And for the shows that you feel confident that you can still grow, how do you then go ahead and actually grow it?
I mean, some of it, right? When I got into LeadsCon, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I didn't even know what a good size show was. I was happy if the thing just like went. And right, so as you grow and as you learn, your expectations change, your understanding of like what market you're operating in changes, and your aperture just widens and the level of sophistication increases. And so I think that's where we find ourselves, like today, as we think about things like addressable market size that we never thought about. We think about, how global it can be. We think about the amount of like, where are the flow of dollars going for a particular industry, and the kind of stuff we didn't care about at all, sort of like before. And maybe we shouldn't care about it today. But I do like, honestly, we're trying to find areas that like LeadsCon, I am so proud of, because I was too scared to basically step away and use it as a cash generator to fund other businesses. So I was so tied up in, I'm a lead gen guy, I'm LeadsCon guy. Like the only way to go do something else was to like have a full separation. And instead, this LeadsCon I haven't touched LeadsCon in over 10 years, 12 years, and it's doing fine. And, and so like, that's like, it was a hard thing to sort of like learn, sort of this idea of how do you build a portfolio and how do you get other businesses that can help, sort of fund the entire entity.
I have two questions for you. One, do you want to try and buy LeadsCon back? I'm in. H is too. He doesn't know it yet. And then
I'm in.
Yeah, I knew. Second question, and we could take that one offline. Second question is for our customers. And so we have a lot of customers that are like, call it 7-figure, low 8-figure businesses. They go to trade shows on foot. Sometimes they only do LobbyCon or Chandelier Bar. But if they wanted to really make a presence for themselves, they should be exhibiting. And maybe they're a 10 by 10 booth buyer, but they don't know it yet, or a meat market table buyer, but they don't know it yet. And so my question for you, and we try to push this to our customers all the time because we want to see them grow, is like, maybe what are the expectations for that? And what are some things that that kind of company can do when they get their first 10 by 10 to make sure that they're at least getting enough out of the show that they're going to come back the following year, like what's the game plan?
Yeah. I honestly think the game plan is right, it's like we're better as a pack. What they really should do is, so the 10 by 10 booth is just a destination, right? It is a place that says, meet me at my booth. I think it is very hard for a lot of shows to consistently deliver enough foot traffic alone to make the investment truly worthwhile. It really is, especially as the show gets really, really big and as it's been around for a really long time. So part of it is saying, right, it's that legitimacy that when you're reaching out to people, it's saying, come by my booth, come here. Now you could argue that there's little hacks like get the like tchotchkes that are really good for parents with small kids, because there's a lot of parents out there that love to walk around the booth to try to figure out how to bring something back for their children. And if you've got like a really great thing for that, like it's amazing how much that will actually get good people to come by your booth for no other reason. I do think though that part of it is looking at it as it's not just the booth. There is a lot of time you have to spend studying who else is attending. You have to spend a crap ton of time reaching out to people. You have to spend a lot of time on the like engagement with them and trying to make sure that you have meetings lined up before you show up. I think that's really, really key. So if you're not going to put in the time to try to set meetings, don't even get the booth, just hang out. The other thing I would really do is, I would try to find a friend and do something together that's like social. Is it like go to Ringba? Is it find 5 people? Is it to have a dinner? Is it to have like, I think it's like a lot of marketing, right? It's a funnel, and the booth is one touch point. I think we really, really need to have multiple touch points, and that's why you guys, right? You have your suite, you have your booth, you do a dinner, you do lots of stuff that is essentially, right? I have like a lot of touch points where I can both like hit you will run into us in a variety of ways, and you'll have multiple experiences with us. And I think that's the thing that like takes time to develop is, right? We have our booth, we do a happy hour, we do a dinner, we do something else. And then our clients are looking forward to the experiencing this show with us. And that's the other thing too, is I would, you like lean into it and try to say like, I'm doing something for my clients. Hey, we're going to be here. We took a scan at the agenda. Here are the sessions we think are the most interesting. Here are some of the other booths that if we were you, we might visit. There's just a lot of like hard work to try to make the time better, because that's what we're competing with, other people's time. And if you can make their time more valuable, it'll come back. It's just, it's a little bit more of a, it's not quite last touch, it's or click through, right? It's a little bit of attribution, takes a little bit of time.
You're
It's
right,
funny to
Jay.
hear you say that.
Adam and I have
Go ahead,
even been
Haish.
becoming social at events. We went to one party for 20 minutes this last affiliate summit, which for us is pretty big. And we were talking about it though, Adam. We were like, we have to like go out and get out of our comfort zone and go to these things. And for years, a social night for us at these trade shows was like saunaing and going to sushi.
Also very productive. But it's funny to hear you say that, Jay, because you're basically saying that you need to be a marketer about your trade show presence. And at most of the trade shows we go to, it's like all marketers, but they don't do this. And
B2B versus B2C.
They don't market themselves.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, enterprise marketing, enterprise sales is so different than consumer marketing, and it's just not intuitive. And to your point, like most people, they don't have metrics, so they don't sit there and say, how many conversations did I have? They don't log it in. They don't have great follow-up. They don't necessarily are sophisticated with their CRM users. They aren't looking about like, What is the average sales cycle? What other show can I see them at to have another touch point, right? They're not tracking how many touches until they turn into a client. Lifetime value of a client. Can I track it back to certain activities and all the stuff, which is not easy, but right, it's I think what we all aspire to.
Jay, I want to say thank you for coming on the Affiliate Marketing Show. I think I speak for Adam and Harrison. We really loved having you on the show. We'd love to have you back. I hope to see you at one of your future events. For myself, Josh from OfferVault.com, Mr. Paper Call, Adam Young, as well as the industry legend, Harrison Gevirtz, and Jay Weintraub, the CEO and founder of Connectiv Holdings. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time, everybody.
Marketing